Thanks for joining us. So, Ebony, we have a long history, and I won't tell everybody how long we've known each other, but let's just say that we go a long way from our teenage years. But there's something about our breast cancer diagnosis, the journey, and survivorship that has brought us closer together. And that's one of the reasons why I am so happy to extend this invitation to you to share your testimony with others. So we'd like to just start by taking our listeners through the first day. Tell us what happened from the beginning, the very beginning.
So I was 42 maybe, and my doctor asked me to go get my mammogram. So I went and got it. I didn't think nothing of it because number one, I don't have a family history of breast cancer. Nobody had cancer. So I was like, okay, let me just go and get it done because my other provider asked me to get it done a couple of years ago. I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to get my breast squished. So I went and had it done. And the lady told me that don't worry about it. If they call you back for additional views, it's okay because it's your first mammogram. So I said, okay. A year went by. I didn't go back. And in between that time, I think I received a letter, but I didn't pay it any attention because all they wanted was additional views. So one of my colleagues was like, Ebony, going to get your mammogram done because she worked in the mammogram department. So I was like, okay. So when I was at the desk, the lady said, you something about a right cyst. I said, a cyst. So when she said that, I was like, okay. So I had my mammogram done.
This is the
Then
second one.
this is the first, yeah, the second one for additional views. So then they told me to go sit in the room with the radiology lady, whoever reads the report. So she just read the report and she was like, I see some calcification. Maybe just stress. But we got, I mean, she was just going on just to talking and I'm looking at her like, what? So I left out of there and I was looking like a zombie because my colleagues, Ebony, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. So I was like, get me an appointment ASAP. So, because I had to get a biopsy. And so I came in, that was like probably on a Monday, Wednesday, I was getting my biopsy. And that was the most uncomfortable thing because I didn't have a lump. I had calcification. And calcification, as you know, is really, 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 really small, right? So and they had it in three spots. So they had to puncture me three times. No anesthesia, no anything. I'm just hanging, right? So they did that. So me being me, of course, I was thinking, and I can't even remember if I probably told my mom. I don't even remember if I told my parents or not. Because during that time, it was just like you're walking on a cloud and you're like, I can't, what? This doesn't make sense to me. I don't have any history of it. So why are y'all telling me something like this? So we had something called Patient Portal. I've never got onto it. So I didn't hear nothing back from the providers come that Monday. Yeah. So I, being nosy, went on and made my account and I was reading my radiology report, and I saw it said carcinoma. I know what it meant, but I didn't know what it means for me. And then because it had DCI or inside two and all this. So I called my girlfriend. I said, no, what that mean? And she said, because she works in the cancer institute. I said, what that mean? She said, oh, um, DCIS. What these things right. She said, it's called ductal carcinoma inside too. Well, what does it mean? I said, but wait, I said, like carcinoma? I said, does it mean it has cancer? She said, yeah. I said, huh? She was like, yeah, girl. Yeah, girl. I was like, oh my God. And I guess we just got off the phone and I don't know who I called first. I don't know if I called my mother, my parents. I know I called my pastor, but look, they just thought I was diagnosed with cancer. I said, well, I read the report and it said that I was diagnosed with cancer. She's like, okay, Ebony, just calm down. So I called my GYN office. I said, why didn't y'all call me and tell me? They was like, Miss Piper, just come on in. I was like, okay. So I went back. I think I was off that day.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to work the next day and they referred me to a
Mm-hmm.
breast surgeon.
Wow. Wow.
And when I made the appointment with my breast surgeon, my parents and my son, they all went with me. And it was very interesting to, it was just heavy. And I'm still, my mother's pacing, my father just sitting there. It's like I was in delivery room again. They just both quiet, right? And my son on his phone. And it was just like telling me all this stuff, explaining what it is. And long story short, what did he recommend?
So just to recap, you were in the medical field
Yeah.
at the time,
Mhm.
and you had your first mammogram at 42.
Mhm.
And that mammogram showed calcifications that you were given a letter to have a follow-up, but your follow-up wasn't immediate. It was
A year later.
a year later. And after when you went for the second mammogram, that's when your radiologist said to you, this is what it is.
This is
And
what it
then
may be. Yeah.
this is what it may be. The biopsy confirmed.
Mhm.
And then you went on to meet your team of doctors who would take you forward.
Mhm.
Now, there's some people who have various types of treatments. Some chemo, others mastectomies. Radiation is also part of those treatments. Tell us more about the treatment that your team decided, suggested to you, and what your decision was.
Well, he said that I will have to get a mastectomy of my left breast, and there will not be a nipple sparing. I said, what's that? And that means they can't spare your nipple. I was like, oh, okay. Somehow or another, we got to. Um, he asked me, did I want a single mastectomy or do I want a double mastectomy? It didn't take me long to say, I want a double mastectomy
Mm-hmm.
because my thought process, you take one, you have to take the other,
Okay.
right? My mother's thought process was, it can go to the next one. I never thought that it would spread anywhere else. I didn't have that. I didn't think about that. So I decided to have a double mastectomy without nipple sparing in both of my breasts.
And
And
can we just tell people, because this is the second person who mentioned nipple sparing. Our guest last week, she was fortunate enough to have it, and you said that you weren't a candidate for that.
mm,
And so nipple sparing, just to be blunt, means that your natural nipple would be removed or remain. They were able be able to give you I guess, the reconstruction. They were able to reconstruct with a nipple,
mm,
and to some that may be lighthearted, but from a woman's perspective, having that nipple means something.
absolutely,
Yes, yes.
absolutely. It's still to this day, still to this day, very triggering for me because this I no longer have sensation in my breast at all. It's it's literally I'm just numb, in certain spots of my breast because they had to literally scrape out the breast tissue. And when you have a double mastectomy, what does that mean? What does a mastectomy mean? So the analogy they gave me is like you have an orange and you just take the meat or the orange
Mhm.
out of it and you still have your shell.
Right, right, right.
Oh, so I won't just be. And she was like, no. I was like, oh, I still have my skin. She's like, yeah. So that kind of made me okay with it. But the reason why I had to have the nipple sparring was because my calcifications were in my duct.
Mm.
They were right, um, yeah, they were right there next to it. And I wasn't gonna have one without the other. They just have to. They were sisters, but they cousins now, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't be a sister and a cousin. You got to pick one. So they cousins. They're cousins now, and that was very traumatic for me as a woman to have to get used to looking into the mirror.
Yeah, I can imagine that. And so that takes me onward to your surgery. Uh,
Mhm.
I think you mentioned that you had a couple of surgeries.
I've
Fill us
had
fill us
I've
in.
had I had 6 surgeries. So I didn't have surgery right away because I had a cruise plan. I had to go on my cruise. So again, the provider, he was like, okay, go on your cruise. But however, I came back on that Sunday. I was in that operating room on that Monday. And the day I came out of, they wanted to send me home. My mother said no. So after my double mastectomy, I had to get expanders put into my breast. And
Mhm. So again, if we're following your
my first,
description where the orange and the meat of the orange is extracted and we just have the skin per se. Now we're putting something artificial in to keep the skin from just being
to,
flimsy. We're
to be implanted and to expand,
Mhm.
because the second surgery was supposed to for me to have a transplant.
Mhm.
So I had the mastectomy and they put expanders in. And when they put the expanders in, every 2 weeks you go back to get them blown up, basically with saline, right? But
Mhm.
that day, again, it was another traumatic moment because the doctor opened up my shirt and I looked down and it didn't look the same anymore. And I was a total wreck. And then, so that went fine until like a week before my second surgery, one of my expanders deflated.
What does that mean?
The saline went away and my breast was flat.
Oh, well,
Literally, it was flat.
it drained
It
out.
drained out into my body. And I noticed that it was getting the day before. Like, So I guess when I slept, it probably just, I mean, it was flat, 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 flat.
So what did they do from that point, and how did you rebound from there?
Well, I was like, whatever. I just went on as normal. And like, I think it's probably like a week or two before I had my second surgery. And the second surgery is when I had a D flap. And the D flap is when they took the fat from my stomach and put it in my breast. But at first he told me I wasn't a candidate because I didn't have enough. But I gave him enough and he said, okay.
Well, we won't go into depth on that.
But I did the reason why I did a D flap because I didn't want breast implants.
Okay, I get it.
And that was one of my triggers. Oh, you're gonna have perky breasts, and I'm like, I want my own breast.
I get it.
But the thing about it, I literally went to me being 80 to 90 years old having to have them removed and put back in because you have to get them redone every 10 years. So I said I wasn't going to do that.
That's with the reconstruction with the artificial, you have to get them done every 10 years. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm. If I
But
get breast implant.
with the implants, but if you, with your own fat transfer, then you no longer have to do that because your body adapts to your own fat and then
And it grows with it.
It grows with it. Amazing, amazing. So you've talked about the transactional piece of the cancer for you. You've talked about finding out and also going through the surgery, having a difficult experience with the deflation. What? Tell us about the mental. What does that look like? What is it? What does it feel like? What are you thinking at that point during those days?
You get lonely. You lose your independency. You you feel like at times, why me? But then again, I said, why not me? You know, for me, I try to keep my spirits up. I'm a God-fearing woman. And what kept me going was God, the word of God, to be honest with you. One of my scriptures was God said he will never leave me or forsake me. I said, all right, God, you got to show up. You got to show up and take care of your daughter because you said you will never leave me. You said you are a healer and you're going to heal my body.
Yes.
So let's get busy. And it humbles you. I know I could be a bit direct, but I was thinking everybody. I had people come from everywhere, my church family, my family. People was helping me. Because I've had 6 surgeries and having those 6 surgeries, you couldn't barely walk or stand or it was very, very traumatic to me. And to the point that I got really mad at cancer because I had so many people in my house. Don't laugh at me, but somebody stole my equipment. So and literally, it put me in a space that I had to go to counseling. I really had to go to counseling because I wasn't understanding my feelings. Why did I feel this way? Why I didn't have nobody around me to help me navigate this part of my new life.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because if you think about it,
Mhm.
you were grieving. You were
Yeah,
grieving at the
right.
the old you, the
Yeah,
former you,
yeah,
and embracing the new you.
right. Right. You know, I praise God all the time. I sit back, you know, I'm 5 years cancer free. You can't tell me God is not with me. You just can't. I'm a product of it. And I used to get, well, you don't look like what you went through. Well, let me lift my shirt up and show you what I've been through. Not only do I got scars on my breast, I got scars on my stomach. I was cut like this. You would thought I had a tummy tuck. And that alone is a mental. You,
Mm-hmm.
I used to feel like I was disfigured or I was deformed. It definitely messes with your self esteem.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't show that this wasn't me. That my shell would never show what I felt on the inside. But what don't make you, what don't kill you will make you stronger. And, I've been through some things lately and I said, if cancer didn't kill me, this not gonna kill me.
Okay. Yeah. So you became strong. What I'm hearing is that you became stronger. And if am I safe in saying that there was a level of gratitude and
For now.
and seeing things differently?
Yes, it could have been another way.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely been another way. I didn't have cancer. I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't have chemo. I didn't have radiation, but my journey was those 6 surgeries. And it was like I was having surgery either every 6 months or every year. And I got to the point that my third year, that's when I said, oh, wait, you had cancer because I had so much going on with the surgeries and recovering. Here we go again with surgery and recovering. Couldn't process it.
Let me ask you, someone could see you today and hear your story and be like, well, okay, she's 5 years cancer free. She should be good. Is that an accurate statement, or what are there triggers, things that trigger you, or things that come up? Or let me ask a better question. What are your feelings or thoughts on your anniversary day?
God did it. I'm a survivor. I didn't give up.
Mm-hmm.
I went through a lot. I went through some fire, but I didn't smell like smoke. I promise you that. And on my 5 year, I had the biggest anniversary celebration. You couldn't tell me anything because I was in remission.
Yes.
And I'm not in remission because I'm healed. It's not coming. I used to get angry or, I do have my own personal triggers, but nothing nobody can tell me at this point will make me go where I was then.
And let me ask you this. What advice would you give women and men who are listening now? It's about breast cancer, caring for a person with breast cancer, etc.
Um, Caring for a person with cancer is very taxing. And patience, honesty, because oh, you're this or you're that. Just no, I'm not today, and no, I'm not. I don't feel this way. But just keep them encouraged and motivated. But don't be like me. Just because I've been in the medical field for 30 years, don't think I have to go get my test.
Mm,
It can happen to any one of us. Be aware of your body. Again, I didn't have a lump, but if the doctor
yeah.
tells you to do something, do it. Be persistent. Men, you got them too.
Yes.
Check them. If it don't feel right, it's not right. But again, I didn't have a lump,
Yeah.
but my
And
Holy Spirit sent me back.
And I'm so glad that you said that because as I started, I said that you and I have a long history, but this diagnosis brought us closer
Yeah.
together. And I shared tidbits of my story here and there. And just like you, I didn't have a lump. So we, the media says, the buddy check and do your monthly checks. And I totally subscribe to that. I think it's great. Uh, but had I not had a series of events or a doctor who told me to get a mammogram outside of my normal schedule, I would have never found it. And I was 7 months away from my normal schedule. So I don't know what it would have grown to within those 7 months. So, like you, my advice to women and men is to check themselves. Yes, to touch around and such. But if you are of age or if you have a history in your family, advocate for yourself and make sure you get tested. And I will speak for myself and I'll have you to share your experience. A mammogram, though it isn't the most pleasant thing in the world,
Hit you from your neck.
it doesn't. It's not the most pleasant, but it doesn't last that long.
No, it doesn't. And then again, you don't have to have a history. I didn't.
Do you have the gene?
Nope.
Yeah, amazing. Neither do I.
Yeah, never had no one in my family. The closest we got was my dad having prostate cancer, and he ended up having lung cancer.
Mm,
That's the closest we in my family.
yeah.
So it's just if we do what we're supposed to do and listen to our bodies and people said God will heal us. God will heal us, but He put these providers in place
Yeah.
to guide us. You ask God to order your steps and listen to your doctor.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Faith without works is dead. You know,
Dead, dead, dead,
it, it
dead.
did. So I thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure that people listening to this now live, I've seen some comments and hearts generated through the conversation. And I thank all the listeners for participating tonight and everybody who will listen to this after our live for the recap. Please please share this with others and look on my page to see other stories because no two stories are the same.
Not at all.
No two stories are the same. So, Ebony, we thank you. We're so glad to see you here. 5 years cancer free. I am so glad.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we can continue to have you here.
Made it.
Yes.
So glad I made it.
Yes. And all praise be to God, we will continue to celebrate year after year after
Yeah.
year together for as long as God will have us. So thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
See you later.